So we've set it up so that the schedule I inserted basically the next meeting for you guys to do the final review of everything along with the benefits and the health and all that other stuff. So that those might change a little bit if you change the payroll positions, but I believe if today though, we said at the next meeting, there's going to be a suggestion that we will call to order this August 19th, 2025 Commissioners' Special Meeting. Before we start this morning, I would like to welcome June Gilroy from our newly appointed Administrative Assistant. Welcome and good morning.
Thank you.
I'm going to call for any adjustments to the agenda.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there any public comment this morning? Anybody on here that wishes to make a public comment? Not seeing anybody, we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes for the August 5th, 2025 Commission regular meeting as presented.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dennis, you have an update on our emergency operations center plans?
Yes. Commissioner, as you know, we're nearing the end of the design development phase, the DD phase as they call it, and moving into the construction phase. And that includes updating the budget, which I've just given you copies of the updated budget. What occurred was that we had a meeting with the principals in the job, that'd be Louis and Mom and E.L. Shea, Andy Sankey and I, and Commissioner Clark was there, to go over some of the items in the budget that were putting the budget over the projected available funds. And so we went through and made some adjustments and worked that budget down to just under what we have available for this project, and that final figure is $3,094,919. And as a part of that reduction, many of these items that we cut, if it were able to do so, we've asked the builder to reshape those in the form of possible addenda or amendments to the contract or add-ons that we could make a yes or no decision on later as we know funds are available. A good example of that is the roof of the new building, which was very expensive raised metal roof, but we could save some money by making it asphalt roof. But that's one of those things that as we get down the line, if it were to prove more affordable, we might decide to put that back in. So we've really built a lot of flexibility into this project as well. Second, we reiterated the need for the documents that Tom Fowler and Charles earlier will produce that enable Andy to finally submit his historical use application to Washington, which they've said they expedite. I have assurances they're working on that this week. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have that. So it'll be in their hands, we'll have someone else to read our hands and worry about. And lastly, we're going to have a meeting tomorrow to go over the MEP, which is mechanical, electrical, plumbing plans, and invite our mechanical team to look at those and firm up those prices, and also to confirm the final design drawings. So we're saying by the end of this week, next week, we'll have construction drawings available. Within a week, probably the maximum price or not to exceed price which is G and guaranteed maximum price from E.L. Shea. And then cross your fingers, we'll break ground. And looking forward to that. We'd like to have this thing, these enclosed, weathered in by the time snow falls. So,
This meeting we had the other day was very valuable for us, though, because it gave us an idea of not only what the total cost was gonna be, but what we're spending our money on. And as a result, we now realize not only what we're paying for, but what we don't have any money for. And Dennis and I are still talking about, even after the price is finalized, we could still move stuff around by not doing this and putting the money here and there, as long as it doesn't affect the integrity of the building itself, the construction work. So
right,
there's gonna be ongoing talks about but further changes that might be in this before we really come to a final agreement as to what total things will look like. It's a little slow process. but
yeah, it's laborious, and, which, that's a good segue into the next question, which is what's next? We're going to meet with the town of Hancock and share our plans with them. We're not subject to permitting or permit review, but as in the spirit of being good neighbors and assuring the town that this is going to be not just a worthwhile, but viable, solid project, we're going to invite their input as well. And we still have some things that we can self-perform, and as we encounter those, we intend to do it. The things like our water line and the other improvements down on the other buildings and things of that nature.
We want to compliment Hancock, the town of Hancock too. They've been very, very good to deal with.
Super to deal with.
For voting on allowing us to have that property there to, complete cooperation from the code enforcement.
Yeah,
officer.
we met with the team, and it's just top shop.
So we want, in the spirit of good things, we want to just keep that dialogue going so that, wake up someone and say, gee, we didn't know he's going to do this, whatever the case
Right.
is. Very good. Anything
Yeah.
else, Dennis?
Well, just an aside, we've got Downey Sheet Metal upstairs putting the final appliances together for our plumbing upgrade. This is to replace the current Formica counter and sink arrangement in F block with a stainless steel array that it's going to be far more robust and should outlast all of us here in this room. And after that is E block, and then we're going to close that project finally, and we're looking forward to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Josh.
Morning, Commissioners.
So Josh, in your first item this morning, I'd like to make some suggestions. And the issue here is simply titling. Statutes and policies don't always mirror each other as far as what we call what. In this case, we're calling the sheriff's department in some places, we're calling the sheriff's office in other places. Just from my own personal experience and whatnot, as a policy the Maine Sheriff's Association has developed over the years, the term sheriff's office denotes the umbrella agency of the county sheriff, which includes the jail, law enforcement, civil administration, sheriff's administration, court security, if there's any, and any other divisions within the sheriff's office. The sheriff's department has always been designated as the law enforcement arm or division of the sheriff's office. And I would like to see that reflected in our policy if we're going to make changes. And I'd like to see a policy statement saying that, Josh, but I'm not sure if probationary period is the place to put it, but I don't know where else it could show up. In other words, the policy would simply say, sheriff's office, to reword it yourself, of course, but it denotes the responsibilities of the sheriffs to include the jail, law enforcement, civil, and whatnot. And the sheriff's department is the law enforcement arm, is the police department of the sheriff. And so that kind of policy statement is there. And then as we go through the policy, when we're talking about everybody within the sheriff's office, we're talking about sheriff's office. When we're talking about commissioned deputies, we're talking about sheriff's department. So I'd like to see if we're going to make changes to specifically looking at the probationary period, that we somehow we get that policy statement in there somewhere and then go ahead and make those changes indicative of recognizing the difference between the office and the department.
So if I understand it correctly, you're fine with changing the policy language to
Absolutely.
reflect office as long as that policy statement is there?
Because I believe that, section 1 is incorrect. It's not the sheriff's department, because that's the commission deputies, that's the sheriff's office. But commissioned employees of the sheriff's department in 2 is correct, because only commissioned commissioned employees are in the police department. They wouldn't be in the civil. Well, civil is different. He doesn't have to be a deputy, but he can be, nevertheless. But I still would like to see that reflected in there. And also, if you look at first paragraph in 1, Josh, or no, look at the full paragraph in 2. It denotes when there's going to be an evaluation of the commissioned deputies and at what stage. That's not reflected in section 1. There's no requirement in there for evaluations of sheriff's office employees, despite the fact that earlier in the policy, there is a requirement that all employees be evaluated. So I'd like to see that added into somewhere in section 1, that the non-commissioned sheriff's office employees be evaluated annually. And as it does say that in the section 2. That, I think, is all my suggestions. I might take another look at this before, but I'd like to suggest that you take those comments back and talk to whoever, see if they're appropriate, agreeable. If so, reword this article and bring it back to us for the next meeting for action.
That sounds good, Commissioner. I can work on it in the next few weeks and come up with a final product.
Anything else with personnel? Yeah, Samuel,
Yeah.
Yes. The health insurance buyout. As I look at this, we're really just addressing an omission. Isn't that correct?
Essentially, Commissioner, what we're trying to do is fix the employee spouse issue. It's really not clear the way it's worded, because if you look at code D, the employee spouse as it's written right now, it's really just who elects not to cover the spouse. It's not truly an employee and the spouse both opting out of the county health insurance, which if they were to do that, they would save the county $26,000 a year in premiums. But essentially, they're not getting the true 35% of what they're saving the county.
So I agree with those changes. So what action you want to take? Just a second. You're providing 2 options. Which options do you prefer, Josh?
Well, we could still keep D in the circumstances of a married employee who does want to have the insurance for themselves, but chooses not to cover their spouse. I think we still could keep D, but it doesn't do anything to help both the employee and the spouse who both opt out of the plan.
So if we made that change today, that would be option 1.
So so they're looking at 2 things, basically, either making the option effective or change effective today, or whether or not agreeing with the change to be incorporated, which is option 2, into the 2026 policy when we come to November or December. So that's kind of what I think they're talking about right now is do they make it effective right now and people who are qualified could get benefits for the remainder of this year, or do they wait until they approve something for 26?
You're saying that sometime in November, December, we make.
You usually
hopefully we'll change it.
you'll make the new policy come into effect basically for 26 in November, December.
Do you know if we have any employees that would qualify or are interested in this policy today?
So when I reviewed the policy, there's at most 4 employees that would qualify for this right now. That's if they don't have a working spouse. So at the most, we would have 4 employees who could sign up for this today.
Wait a minute, I'm under the impression that buyout is contingent upon the employee proving that they have insurance elsewhere.
That is part of it. Yes.
Right, so in other words, if a spouse, if an employee had a spouse who was not employed, that didn't have their own insurance, they wouldn't qualify for the buyout. Is that correct? Because you have to have coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to, one of the requirements I understood is we had to demonstrate that they had coverage
Somewhere else.
somewhere.
So when you tell us you have a employee whose spouse is not employed, do they still have their own insurance? They wouldn't have their own insurance somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, why would they? Because if the husband qualified for paid spouse insurance, why would he not get it and buy health insurance for his wife? So,
Well, because sometimes it's much more expensive to do that. It really just comes down to in each individual situation of what they choose to do.
so we do not know if there are any employees today who would like to take advantage of this soon.
I know of at least 2 that would qualify, up to 4. I haven't met with each of them individually, but
Okay,
yes,
so
there would be at least a few that would qualify.
Would qualify, I think that's the difference, would they still want to buy out? I'm just trying to accommodate those people who are knocking on the door and saying, you know, if you make this change, I'd like to buy it out. But if you don't have those people, we can wait till November, and make a wholesale change.
I believe you do have at least a few that would benefit today if we chose to do that. My suggestion to waiting to the fall was 1, because of the rate change, but 2, I didn't know budget-wise if we could afford giving that additional category.
Remember, budget-wise, it's cheaper to do a buyout than it is to pay health.
Yep, yes, that's why we're talking about this.
Right, I mean, so it's not a budget item, it's not gonna cost more to give a buyout. In fact, if we could find several employees qualifying who would take it, we could save money. That's why I've always said that perhaps 35% wasn't enough of an incentive. But nevertheless, that's not an issue.
Then I agree. I think we should make it effective for today, if that's what you think.
If we have people knocking on the door, I'd like to accommodate it. If we don't have any, we make it effective today, no harm, no foul, right, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, if not, it's just part of the policy going forward.
I suggest option 1, Sam.
I make a motion to accept option 1, move to approve the changes to the 2025 buyout, buy down policy as proposed, with such changes to be effective August 19th, 2020.
Second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last item up on the list is a job description update to the maintenance director position at the airport. There's going to be an upcoming vacancy there in October when we have a retirement of that employee. So Leroy and I thought it would be a good time to get that job description updated. It's very outdated, like many of our job descriptions are, with very limited job summary. So the new one that you have in front of you just updates it with the knowledge, skills, and abilities that job requires.
I'll move to include amendments to the airport maintenance director job description as presented.
Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Gentlemen.
First item is just reviewing and signing the audit documents.
That's pretty much standard, that's what we do
Right.
every audit, correct? This is just following suit,
What's that?
this is just following suit, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
we're all set.
And then the other is,
Excuse me, we're gonna take care of that one.
okay,
It's your pleasure, Stan.
I move to accept the audit scope and objectives of the Chester Kearney for the year ending December 31st, 2024 for Hancock County, and for the year ending June 30th, 2024 for the unorganized territories. And authorize the commission chair to sign each agreement on behalf of Hancock County.
Second motion, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Yeah.
And then we're reviewing the sales proposals for the software replacement for the current software that we're using for accounting throughout the county. And I had a couple updates to the Edmunds GovTech, because I got in a little more in depth with the salesman, and the first year cost is not the 40,000 as I originally quoted, but 60,230. We can split that if we want. We can pay 50-50, half now and half in January if we desire to budget the other half. But then each year is a very reasonable price at the 21,530 per year.
Do we have funds set aside for that this year, Monica?
I do not in my budget. And then there's the higher priced option with the Blackbaud.
Well, your recommendation is Edmonds meets our need.
Yes, yes. Like I said last time, a couple of counties in Maine, Kennebec County is already going with this, and Penobscot County is in the transition phase. They're moving away from, I'm not sure what they're currently using, but they're moving to Edmonds.
So year one could be a split calendar year, huh? How do we start?
If we wanted to start now, we could split the cost and pay 30,000 now up front. Then we'd have to pay another 30,000 in January. So that would have, the 30,000 portion would have to be budgeted.
But sometime in August or September next year, we'd have to come up with some more money, right?
Nope, not until January of 2027. That would cover us for the
Okay.
full year of 2026, because it won't even be implemented till the end of 26.
Does the treasurer's office have any reserve accounts?
I think there's probably a copier reserve or an equipment.
We don't have 30 grand.
No,
Michael, can you suggest a reserve account that we could tap into today and then replenish in the 26 budget?
Not necessarily off the top of my head, one that would feel completely fitting, because I think the most appropriate reserve would have been something to do with treasury that would have expanded that across all the departments. Otherwise, I think you're basically, charging reserves or taking reserves from something that were probably more designated to specific departments. I believe when it was brought up last time, there was some thought about community benefits as well, just to get this project started, but we have, or you've already made other commitments as well.
Motion.
Is there any money in the buyout?
Not now, because we just kidding. I mean, we build in the budget, it's basically part of that amount, but again, to know 100%, I mean, we don't really build a lot of fluff into that bio account itself, so I doubt there'd be enough necessarily to say that. But I haven't looked at it specifically.
which account?
So he's asked if there'd be money in the buyout account there to spend, but I mean,
Oh,
not
shit.
really how we set it up.
I'm not sure which account it's referring to.
So the Department 20 stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if that would be appropriate.
Seems like a stretch, but
Sorry, I butchered. This is the last one, from the CBA.
I make the motion to accept a proposal from Edmunds GovTech. Is that what it is? For accounting software for Hancock County, the sum of $30,115 to be paid from the CB
Community benefits.
Community Benefits account, yeah. And to authorize the county treasurer, Monica, Cease, to sign all related documents on behalf of Hancock County.
Okay,
Does that do it?
that's good for now, and then
We'll,
address the other.
Fix next year.
Okay,
Second the motion. All in favor?
I
Aye.
thank you. Then I think
Oh,
we,
yeah,
yeah,
we gotta pay for those cameras, or at least
correct.
this year, so we were looking for a reserve account that we could tap into and restore next year. Did you come up with something?
So, I know that, well, that's. So, I mean, when you look at our reserves that we currently have, we have, it's not much, but we have just over 2250 in forfeiture. We have just over,
How much,
we have-
excuse me, how much do we need for the first payment?
it's just over 26,000. I can grab my phone there, it's got the exact dollar amount.
Who's got the dollar amount?
I can grab it for you.
that's what reserve account balances.
So it is $26,183.31.
26, you writing this down?
183
Hang on a second. 26,183,
and 31 cents.
26,000, once again,
26,183, 31 cents. 31 cents.
I'm just looking at any account right now that you're not going to need between now and December 31st, because we've replaced the this amount back in the January 1st.
Okay. With that being said, I would recommend a number. If we'd be looking to replace it January 1st, I'd recommend the SO radio account. That could do the entirety of it.
Okay.
26,631 is the balance in there, so we have about $400.
So you're going to take that amount from the SO radio account number,
It's 380.
I got it here.
Okay.
Ready? Number 3014-1. Sorry, 01, I guess. And you've already signed all these documents, nothing needs to be signed, you're all set with the documents.
Correct.
That's your motion.
I move to approve the transfer of $26,183.31 from the SOR Sheriff's Office Reserve account number 301 4-01. Oh, yeah, toward the purchase of the in-car and body cameras from G-Tech in accordance with their bid proposal accepted by the commission at the August 5th, 2025 commission's regular meeting.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, everybody know what DA's office is? Just the budgets. Our budget work this morning was very brief because John is not here, he's away, getting his daughter in college. Won't be much more than accepting the figures and, I don't even know if we need anybody here, we just accept those.
Commissioner Clark, if I may, just the Department 10 budget where we just took the funds for the, out of the radio reserve account. Is that appropriate? Can we add that?
Obviously,
Okay.
yeah, well,
So I'll make those changes, Monica.
here's what happens. It goes in the budget reserve account, January first. Now, if you need that during the 26th year, you will spend it out of your reserve account, your budget reserve account. If it doesn't, what doesn't get spent at December 31st gets transferred into your G account. So it doesn't go directly into your G account January 1st. It'll stay in your reserve account for the year. That means it's available to you during the year from your budget, not from your G account.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was
Yeah,
looking
we
to make
just
the
remember to put in, remember,
amendment. Yeah, that's
and I'm looking at Monica, and Monica's gonna get that in the next version, this draft.
perfect. Thank you.
Now, so district attorney, nobody's here, but anyways, we're gonna accept their numbers, so
Real quick though, you may want to wait for them because it's my understanding and Monica can confirm too. They had a couple position changes that they wanted to make and a couple other things. So I believe there wasn't standard.
I tried Michelle, but,
I mean, I know they know that they have to present this morning, so I would presume they're going to be here.
okay, while we're waiting for them, then there is some discussion on the sheriff's office budget, and it's not so much making changes, it's asking that the treasurer's office and the county administrator provide us figures for the next meeting when we discuss the budget with regards to the sheriff's department. And we'd like to know the cost of the 2 additional deputies that have been unfilled for this year. The additional ones, we know which one we're talking about. The contributions, the benefits amount, projected health insurance amount, any cost associated with those 2 deputies that would show up in the budget. We'd like to have that number available to us at the next meeting. Not in the budget, but as a separate number that we can consider when we're talking about what
hey,
the,
Tim. Can you let Michelle know they're working on budgets right away here? Thank you. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Tim, the jail cap.
That's, I worked with Monica on that, that's the number that,
Okay, so that is what it is, right?
that's the way I take it, right, Monica?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the jail cap's what it is. The jail budget, Tim,
I worked with Michael and I worked with Monica and we agree on my numbers match our numbers.
and with regards to the cap, how are we?
Yes.
Proposed jail budget is is this 3,867,000?
That is correct.
And the cap is the 2,543.
Yep.
So what percentage increase is that? What is the cap?
Cap increase is the 2.8%.
2.8?
Yep.
We just need to know, we're consciously going to exceed the cap, we just need to know by how much. So we don't need that today, but at some
Okay.
point, we need to know and take action on consciously exceeding.
Okay.
Anything else with regards to the jail?
Nope. So we first, and that, those are the numbers we talked about.
Let's get back to morning, Bob, Michelle.
Morning.
John is not here today, we're not taking any definitive action on any of these, but we're going to accept the figures that we got today. If you had some comments you'd like us to consider for the next meeting when John is here, you're welcome to come to the podium. Make your comments, but your numbers are what they are until we get to the next meeting. Which, when we're gonna make,
Okay, so,
critical review.
okay, so all you're doing is just taking into account, acknowledging the numbers that were provided to you
Yep.
and nothing more?
It's too important for John. He needs to be here when we talk about it. The critical review is when you're going to, we're going to come to some acknowledgement as to what we're going to propose and send to the DAC.
Okay,
So if you can either make your comments today for us to consider while we're waiting, or you can wait and make those at the next meeting when we do our critical review. I'll leave it up to you.
we'll just wait.
Very good. Moving on. Town contracts, basically, it's a wash, right?
Correct.
And you made that happen in the budget. I haven't reviewed those yet.
Yes.
Okay, fine. How is the revenue, how is civil process revenue doing?
Looks like we're going to meet, we had budgeted for 135,000. And the proposal we're putting in for this year, we upped it down to 10,000. You know, with the increase up there and recently, we've had a tremendous amount of.
There's been an increase in fees,
Yeah, when those went up a year or so ago, or whatever it was.
but still not a wash, though, is it? Revenue's doing.
No,
Okay,
no.
that's all I need to know. Drug task force, are we still at a point where we're not funding anything yet?
Nothing.
Okay, so we're waiting for the state to fund 2 positions and then we'll fund the third if they do, right?
It was they fund one, we would fund one, but our discussion last year was that we would utilize the, if that was able to come to fruition, we would utilize the drug task force reserve account to pay the remainder of this year. And when you and I had done the figures, I believe it would fund that position. I think it was the 3rd week in September on. That's the amount of funds we had in the account.
Then we'd have to find money if it was more than that reserve account.
Yes, although it shouldn't be, because our figures were that it was enough for the 3rd week of September on.
We're talking about this year or next year?
For this year, if that were to come to fruition.
Any indication they're gonna come up with a warm body?
I've got to talk with them again. Last update I had from them was probably about a month ago, but as my understanding is they're in between a new director right now, so.
Because when that scheme was developed last year, it was under the issue that we didn't think they're gonna come up with anybody, so we didn't wanna raise money that we knew we weren't gonna use. But if they came up with a warm body this year that we knew they were gonna have next year, then we've gotta come up with some funds to cover our agent. So
Between now and the next meeting, I'll touch base with them and have a more solid answer for you.
even between now and when we finalize the budget.
Yeah.
You know, you have that much long, we don't want to be depending upon CBA and reserve accounts to fund a guy for a whole year.
Sure.
Animal control, that's what it is, huh? You get that over the figures now, we got a year behind us.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's a revenue, ultimately a revenue, I would say, maker, but we usually bring in more than what we're spending out. But the issue that we do have right now is that we are getting all these towns back that left. So Blue Hill asked me the other day, again for a copy of the contract. I haven't seen anything new, but it's based on right now the 14 communities that we have, so. And as I mentioned in my notes in the budget, the other issue that we have is a discussion about maybe hiring a backup, because we are running into instances where even this past weekend when the current ACO had to be out of town unexpectedly, and we had calls and we had nobody to fill them, and the thought process was the towns would take care of that, but the town basically said, we got a contract with the county, it's your problem. So there's really nobody else to step in, so that obviously is gonna be one of my recommendations. Doesn't change the net pay amount, because they don't both get paid, you only get paid if you do work. That's gonna be the question, but at least we can say we tried, and if we can't, then we're gonna have to go back to the municipalities and say, look, I mean, you can't expect a guy 24/7 unless, the county wants to hire somebody full-time, or hire the current guy full-time, and try to have that be his primary function.
That's not gonna pay for itself.
Not yet, I mean, we have to probably do some recruiting of some other towns out there to really make that viable.
Does he have his new vehicle yet?
Yes, yeah, he did get that a couple weeks ago, so we are,
So the old ACO vehicle, so is that was on your dime?
It was, yeah, it came out of our budget. Although it's up and running and it's in good working condition right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's in saleable condition.
Sale,
So we're keeping it.
good luck. That's one of those mysteries, mechanical failures. IT, good morning, Chuck, come on up. Gentlemen, Chuck and I have talked, and I don't want to preempt your discussion this morning, but we're going to be asked to support a lot of positions in the budget. Some do, some existing, whatever. And we had multiple discussions, for example, the sheriff's department on the two extra deputies, whether or not they can justify those, whether or not they can support that information, convinces us to give them or not, but I talked with Chuck the other day, and I was really floored by the fact that Chuck told me that at that moment, he had 93
Yeah, and I'm up over 100, between 100, 110 open tickets now.
open tickets. Means you have a particular task that has to be provided, correct?
Correct.
It's something self-generated, by complaint or by request or something,
That is correct.
100. And what struck me is that Chuck said they're coming in faster than he can fix it. I gotta tell you that we know how important it is to have IT. We know how important it is to keep our IT personnel, because there's a big market up there for those people. And I can't imagine how depressing it must be to come to work every day and just know that you're inundated with complaints. And I think that is the kind of definitive, objective information that we need when we're considering additional personnel. That's what Chuck is asking us to consider. And what better proof is there that we need more people in the IT department than Chuck to tell us that he has 100 open tickets right now on his desk, and they've been coming in faster than he can get rid of them. And I'm really taken back by that whole situation, to the point of where I'd like to have us consider that Chuck be allowed today to go out and start recruiting the kind of person he thinks he needs for that department. That if he can find somebody before the end of the year, that he uses his reserve account, he has reserve account personnel for the balance of this year. And then that be added to the 26 budget. Chuck, go ahead.
Well, this is my second time before you on the budget, and you wanted me to revise my budget, and I did that as far as the Hancock site goes. The second one was for the additional employee. And I just gave you a handout of the reasons why I thought we should get another employee. Like you said, you referenced the 100 open tickets, 100 plus, it's just growing. We actually, I think we closed out close to 200 the
little over a month. So we're trying to keep up with it, but we're going backwards. Also point out, the sheriff department, you guys have Taylor right now helping you guys out. And Taylor has told me that he has been committing somewhere between 150 and 200 hours to IT work down there. And if he's going to be doing patrol stuff, then they need to pick that up. That means we're going to need an additional 150 to 200 hours out of the IT department. Also, Leroy just emailed me last night, and he said that the airport now needs a cybersecurity coordinator up there, and then that person also will be part of the, what he said was the TSA airport security plan. So that's going to also take Banyan's attention away. And really, I need Banyan to concentrate on the job he was hired for. Right now, Banyan is spending so much time doing tech support that he's not doing his job. We've had Tyler Technologies for a couple of years now doing cybersecurity stuff where they identified internal pen tests, external wireless problems, firewall issues. And they probably identified a few hundred different issues that we should be addressing security wise. And Banyan has not been able to get to any of those because he's doing level 1 tech support. So I need to get him concentrating on the job he was hired for. So what I'm asking for is an entry level person or somebody to help in tech support. So Banyan can do the job he was supposed to do and then help with cybersecurity.
So what's the pay range do you think we should be funding if we're looking for the right person?
We were looking for an entry level person and we budgeted with Josh, I said $60,000.
So let's give a range though, because you might end up with somebody who's willing to come to entry level work with more money.
And the other option I have is if I could find a seasoned person that might be a full-time seasoned person, I would do that as well. If
Full-time what?
A part-time seasoned person. So if I could find somebody for 20 hours a week, I'd be.
Oh, geez, don't get your range that time. That's fine. That's just, let's get the job done. I think I'm willing to consider and suggest that we hire a full-time person. I don't want to miss out on the guy who would come for a few bucks more if we don't have a few bucks available.
Okay, well, I do have a person that I've spoken to that is highly qualified. He could actually do my job. And he's willing to be part-time. And somebody like that could come in and do it part-time and do the same amount of work as the entry-level person at 40 hours. So I would do it either way.
Well, I guess that's your decision to make.
Okay.
It seems like we never seem to really make part-time positions work unless we combine them.
I'd like to talk with Josh about it and explore it further.
Josh,
If I could add to that, Commissioner, if we could bring this individual in, if they passed our hiring tests, obviously, if we could bring them in part-time and then 6 months, a year from now, they decide they would like to be full-time here, it would be nice if we could give them that option. So maybe have approval for a full-time job, but start out part-time with the employee that Chuck has in mind. Maybe that could be a solution too.
what would it cost us for 20 hours a week for this person?
That I do not know. I didn't discuss any salary or any dollar figure with that person. So I'd have to get back to you on that.
Well, and that person's available now.
Yes, he is.
So perhaps,
Looking at 60,000 for a full-time, then it'd be, I don't know,
so maybe we could simply
not even.
approve the hire, approve Chuck soliciting for the hire of a part-time IT consultant of tech. And we take that money out of the reserve account for the balance to 25.
Well, on the printout I gave you, I did on the last part of it, I talked with Julie and she's offered to actually help us with the pay for this.
In 25, Julie?
Yes.
25, in 25, I could probably do 10 or 12, but in 26, I can do between 35 and 40.
So just a couple quick questions. One, I mean, I think again, unless you want to totally undermine the hiring practice, you shouldn't be hiring specifically for one person at this point. If that person wants to apply, yes, the job, they're most qualified, yes. So I think you guys would have to get together with Josh and figure out if this person isn't available, doesn't matter. I mean, what is the value of that position that you want regardless?
Yep, I agree.
And then the second question that I had to ask, looking at the statute, is this going to be primarily dedicated to D? Because it looks like the surcharge fee is supposed to be for record preservation. And they would do IT work, but that wouldn't, I mean, it seems like a stretch that the rest of that could pay for like taking care of, you know, the sheriffs or all these other.
Explain that better.
I mean, and that's why I'm asking the question. So when I look at it on paper, it looks like it's intended just for that stuff.
So ideally, we've done this before, is I count the back indexing hours and pay the county back the labor rate for those hours worked on back indexing. And when we first started this, you actually, like, I would give you a number as to what I was gonna pay you for surcharge as revenue. And you would take that money out of my payroll line, and then I would give you the back indexing, but then that money you would have to use for something else that you took out of my payroll, because I'd actually be paying my people with the surcharge.
Well, it wouldn't be,
Well, right, but I mean, but that's,
just in the
yeah.
budget, it would not be specifically dedicated to IT. It would be an additional revenue in your budget
that's exactly correct.
that would offset the overall
Mhm.
commitment, tax
Correct.
commitment and whatnot. And that would be reflected in some of the costs. Now, with Michael's comments, it seemed like today that what we're going to do is authorize you to start the process of bringing in additional staffing. And that could start out with looking for a full-time person who wants to come. And if you want to come back with a plan for part-time, having met the policy, come back and talk to us.
All right, will do.
No, that's my suggestion. We have,
No, I agree with that. I'll work with Josh about a full-time or part-time, and we'll decide which direction to go, and then.
okay, so I'm going to move that the IT director be,
There are funds in his technology reserve account line. Some of them have been designated to pay Banyan in 2026, but there's still a little bit left over in that account line. I have to do some.
I'm going to move that the IT director be permitted to solicit applications for a position of additional technician for the IT department. Return at a future meeting with a proposal and a funding mechanism. That's my motion.
I'll say.
Any further discussion?
So thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that completes our budget workshop session. A motion to executive session.
I'll move to go into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title 1-405, 6A, exempt employees evaluation, contract discussion, county administrative.
Second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are, Josh,